Will and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from The Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis. Section 1. A Spring Song. The world has got me snouted just a treat. Cruel fortune's dirty laughter smote me soul, and all them joys of life I held so sweet is up the pole. For as the poet says, me heart has got the pip with yearnin' for I don't know what. I'm crook, me name is Mud, I've done me dash, me flamin' spirit's got the flamin' hump. I'm longin' to let loose on somethin' rash. Oh, I'm a chump. I know it, but this blimed old springtime craze fair outs me on these dilly silly days. The young green leaves is shootin' on the trees, the air is like a long cool swig o' beer, the bonzer smell o' flowers is on the breeze, an' 'ere's me 'ere, just moochin' round like some poor barmy coot of 'ope an' joy an' fortune, destitute. I've lost me former joy in gettin' shick, or 'eadin' browns. I 'aven't got the 'eart to word a tom, an' squarin' all I'm sick of that cheap tart 'oo chucks 'er carkis at a feller's 'ead an' mauls 'im. Ah, I wish that I was dead. There's little breezes stirrin' in the leaves, an' sparrers chirpin' high the whole day long, an' on the air a sad, sweet music breathes, a bonzer song, a mournful sort o' tune that gets a bloke fair in the brisket 'ere an' makes 'im choke. What is the matter wiv me? I don't know. I got a sort o' yearnin' 'ere inside, a dead crook sort o' thing that won't let go or be denied, a feelin' like I want to do a break an' stoush creation for some woman's sake. The little birds is chirpin' in the nest, the parks an' gardens is a bosker sight, where smilin' tarts walks up an' down all dressed in clobber white. An' as their snowy forms go steppin' by, it seems I'm seekin' somethin' on the sly. Something or someone, I don't rightly know, but seems to me I'm kinder lookin' for a tart I knew 100 years ago, or maybe more. What's this I've 'eard 'em call that thing? Gee whiz! Me ideel bit o' skirt, that's what it is. Me ideel tart, an' blimey, look at me. Just take a squiz at this an' tell me, can some square an' honest Tom take this to be 'er own true man? Ah, God! I'd be as true to 'er, I would, an' straight an' steady as... Ah, wot's the good? Me that 'as done me stretch for stoushin' Johns, an' spends me leisure gettin' on the shick, an' 'arf me nights down there in Little Lon wiv Ginger Mick, just 'eadin' 'em an' doin' in me gilt. Tough luck, I s'pose it's 'ow a man is built. It's 'ow God builds a bloke, but don't it 'urt when 'e gets yearnin' for this 'igh o' life on these spring mornin's, watchin' some sweet skirt, some fucher wife, go sailin' by an' turnin' on 'is phiz, the glassy eye, for bein' wot 'e is. I've watched 'em walkin' in the gardens 'ere, cliners from offices an' shops an' such, the sort o' skirts I dursn't come too near or dare to touch. An' when I see the kind o' looks they cast, Gorstruth, wot is the use of me, I ask? Wot was I slung 'ere for, an' wot's the good of yearnin' after any ideel tart? Ah, if a bloke was only understood, 'e's got a 'eart, 'e's got a soul inside 'im, poor or rich. But wot's the use when 'Eaven's crooled 'is pitch? I tells meself some day I'll take a pull an' look around for some good steady job, an' cut the push for good an' all. I'm full o' that crook mob. An' in some spring the fucher 'olds in store, I'll cop me prize, an' long in vain no more. The little winds is stirrin' in the trees, where little birds is chantin' lovers' lays, the music of the soft and balmy breeze. Oh, spare me days! If this 'ere dilly feelin' doesn't stop, I'll lose me block an' stoush some flamin' cop. Section 2 of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from The Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis. Section 2. The Intro. "'Er name's Doreen." Well, spare me bloomin' days! You could 'a' knocked me down with 'arf a brick. Yes, me that kids meself I know their ways, an' 'as a name for smoogin' in our click. I just lines up an' tips the saucy wink. But strike! The way she piled on dog, you'd think a bloke was givin' back chat to the Queen. 'Er name's Doreen. I seen 'er in the market first of all, inspectin' brums at Steeny Isaac's stall. I backs me barrow in the same old way, an' says, "What ho! It's been a bonzer day. 'Ow is it fer a walk?" Oh, holy wars! The sorter look she gimme just becors I'd tried to chat 'er like you'd make a start wiv any tart. An' I can take me oath I was polite, an' never said no word that wasn't right, an' never tried to maul 'er or to do a thing you might call crook. To tell you true, I didn't seem to 'ave the nerve. Wiv 'er I felt as if I couldn't go that far, an' start to sling off shy act like I used. Not introjuiced. Next time I sighted 'er in Little Bourke, when she was in a job, I found 'er lurk. Was pastin' labels in a pickle joint, a game that, any'ow, that ain't the point. Once more I tried to chat 'er in the street, but blimey, did she turn me down a treat! The way she tossed 'er 'ead an' swished 'er skirt, oh, it was dirt. A squarer Tom, I swear, I'd never seen in all me nat'ral than this 'ere Doreen. It weren't no guyver neither, for I knew that any other bloke 'ad Buckleys too. Tried for to pick 'er up, yes, she was square. She just sailed by an' left me standin' there. Like any mug, thinks I'm out o' luck, an' done a duck. Well, I dunno, it's that way wiv a bloke. If she'd 'a breasted up to me an' spoke, I'd thought 'er just a common bit o' fluff, an' then forgot about 'er like enough. It's just like this, the tarts that's 'ard to get makes you all hot to chase 'em, an' to let the cove called Cupid get in 'ammerlock an' lose yer block. I know a bloke who knows a bloke who toils in that same pickle foundry. He boils the cabbage stalks or somethin'. Anyway, I gives me pal the office for to say 'e 'as a sister in the trade 'oo's been out of a job an' wants to meet Doreen. Then we can get an intro if we've luck. 'E says right buck. O' course we worked the oracle, you bet. But, 'struth, I ain't recovered from it yet. 'Twas on a Saturd'y in Collins Street, an' quite by accident, of course, we meet. Me pal, 'e trots 'er up an' does the toff. He always was a bloke for showin' off. "This 'ere's Doreen," 'e says. "This 'ere's the kid." I dips me lid. "This 'ere's Doreen," 'e says. I says g'day. An' blimey, I 'ad nothin' more to say. I couldn't speak a word, or meet 'er eye. Clean done me block. I never been so shy. Not since I was a tiny little cub an' run the rabbit to the corner pub, what time the summer days was dry an' 'ot, for me old pot. Me, that 'as barracked tarts an' talked an' laughed an' chucked off at 'em like a phonograph. Gosh, 'struth, I seemed to lose me power o' speech. But 'er, oh, strike me pink, she is a peach. The sweetest in the barrer. Spare me days! I can't describe that cliner's winnin' ways. The way she talks, her lips, her eyes, her hair. Oh, gimme air! I dunno how I done it in the end. I recollect I asked to be her friend, and tried to play at Andy's in the park. A thing she wouldn't sight. Ah, it's a nark. I gotter swear when I think what a mug I must 'a' seemed to her, but still I 'ug that promise that she give me for the beach. The bonzer peach. Now, as the poet says, the days drag by on leaden feet. I wish they'd do a guy. I dunno how I 'ad the nerve to speak an' make that meet wiv 'er for Sundee week. But strike, it's funny wot a bloke'll do when 'e's all out. She's gone when I come to. I'm yappin' to me cobber of me mash. I've done me dash. 'Er name's Doreen, an' me that thort I knew the ways of tarts an' all that smoogin' game. An' so I ought, for ain't I known a few? Yet some'ow, I dunno, it ain't the same. I can't tell wot it is, but all I know, I've dropped me bundle, an' I'm glad it's so. For when I come to think of wot I been, 'er name's Doreen. Section 3 of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis. Section 3. Doreen. I wish you meant it, Bill. Oh, how me heart went out to her that evening on the beach. I knew she weren't no ordinary tart, my little peach. I tell you, square an' all, me 'eart stood still to 'ear 'er say, I wish you meant it, Bill. To 'ear 'er voice, its gentle sort o' tone, like soft dream music of some Dago band. An' me all out, an' 'oldin' in me own 'er little 'and. An' 'ow she blushed! Oh, strike, it was divine, the way she raised 'er shinin' eyes to mine. 'Er eyes, soft in the moon, such bosh 'er eyes! An' when they sight a bloke, oh, spare me days, 'e goes all loose inside, such glamour lies in 'er sweet gaze. It makes 'im all ashamed o' wot 'e's been to look into the eyes of my Doreen. The wet sands glistened, and the gleamin' moon shone yeller on the sea, all streakin' down. A band was playin' some soft dreamy tune, an' up the town we 'eard the distant tram cars whir an' clash. An' there I told 'er 'ow I'd done me dash. I wish you meant it, 'struth, an' did I fair? A bloke 'ud be a dog to kid a skirt like 'er, an' me well knowin' she was square. It 'ud be dirt. 'E'd be no man to point wiv 'er an' kid. I meant it honest, an' she knew I did. She knew I've done me block in on 'er straight. A cove 'as got to think some time in life, an' get some decent tart ere it's too late to be 'is wife. But, God, who'd 'a thought it could 'a been my luck to strike the likes of 'er, Doreen? Oh, I can stand their chuckin' off, I can. It's 'ard, an' I'd delight to take 'em on. The dogs! But it gets that way wiv a man when 'e's fair gone. She'll sight no stoush, an' so I 'ave to take their mag an' do a duck for 'er sweet sake. For 'er sweet sake I've gone an' chucked it clean, the pubs an' schools an' all that leery game. For when a bloke 'as come to know Doreen, it ain't the same. There's 'igher things, she sez, for blokes to do. An' I am 'arf believin' that it's true. Yes, 'igher things. That was the way she spoke. An' when she looked at me I sorter felt that bosker feelin' that comes o'er a bloke an' makes 'im melt. Makes 'im all 'ot to maul 'er an' to shove 'is arms about 'er. Blimey, but it's love! That's wot it is. An' when a man 'as grown like that 'e gets a sorter yearn inside to be a little 'ero on 'is own, an' see the pride glow in the eyes of 'er 'e calls 'is queen, an' 'ear 'er say 'e is a shine champeen. I wish you meant it. I can hear it yet. My bit of fluff, the moon was shinin' bright, turnin' the waves all yeller where it set. A bonzer night, the sparklin' sea all sort o' gold an' green, an' on the pier the band — oh, hell, Doreen! Section 4 of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis. Section 4. The Play. "What's in a name?" she says, and then she sighs, and clasps her little 'ands and rolls her eyes. "A rose," she says, "be any other name would smell the same. Oh, wherefore art you Romeo, young sir? Chuck your old pot and change your moniker." Doreen an' me, we been to see a show, the swell $2 touch bon ton, you know. A chair apiece with velvet on the seat, a slap-up treat. The drama's writ be Shakespeare, years ago, about a barmy goat called Romeo. "Lady beyond the moon, I swear," says he. An' then he climbs up on the balcony, an' there they smooge a treat wiv pretty words, like two love birds. I nudge Doreen, she whispers, "Ain't it grand?" Her eyes is shinin', an' I squeeze 'er 'and. "What's in a name?" she says. "'Struth, I dunno. Billo is just as good as Romeo. She may be Julier or Juliet. 'E loves 'er yet. If she's the tart 'e wants, then she's 'is queen. Names never count, but, I like Doreen. A sweeter, dearer sound I never 'eard. There's music 'angs about that little word, Doreen. But what was this I starts to say about the play? I'm off me beat, but when a bloke's in love 'is thoughts turns 'er way, like an 'omin' dove. This Romeo, he's lurkin' wiv a crew, a dead tough crowd o' crooks called Montague. 'Is cliners push, wot's nicknamed Capulet. They 'as 'em set. Fair narks they are, just like them back street cliques, except they fights wiv skewers 'stead o' bricks. Wot's in a name? Wot's in a string o' words? They scraps in ole Verona wiv their swords, an' never gives a bloke a stray dog's chance. An' that's romance. But when they deals it out wiv bricks an' boots, in Little Lon they're low, degraded brutes. Wot's just plain stoush wiv us right 'ere to day is valour, if you're far enough away. Sometime some writer bloke will do the trick wiv Ginger Mick of Spadger's Lane. 'E'll be a Romeo when 'e's been dead 500 years or so. Fair Juliet, she gives 'er boy the tip. Says she, "Don't sling that crowd o' mine no lip. An' if you run again a Capulet, just do a get." 'E swears 'e's done wiv lash, 'e'll chuck it clean, same as I done when I first met Doreen. They smooge some more at that. Oh, strike me blue! It gimme joes to sit an' watch them two. 'E'd break away an' start to say good bye, an' then she'd sigh, "Oh, Romeo!" an' get a strangle 'olt, an' 'ang around 'im like she feared 'e'd bolt. Next day 'e words a gospel cove about a secret weddin', an' they plan it out. 'E spouts a piece about 'ow 'e's bewitched. Then they get hitched. Now, 'ere's the place where I fair get the pip. She's 'is for keeps, an' yet 'e lets 'er slip. Ah, but 'e makes me sick a fair gazob. 'E's just the glassy on the soulful sob. 'E'll sigh an' spruik an' 'owl a lovesick vow, the silly cow. But when 'e's got 'er spliced an' on the straight, 'e crools the pitch an' tries to kid its fate. Ah, fate me foot! Instead o' slopin' soon, as 'e was wed, off on 'is 'oneymoon, 'im an' 'is cobber called Mick Curio, they 'ave to go an' mix it wiv that push o' Capulets. They look for trouble, an' it's wot they gets. A tug named Tyball, cousin to the skirt, sprags 'em and makes a start to sling off dirt. Next minute there's a real old ding-dong go. Half round or so. Mick Curio, 'e gets it in the neck. "Ah, rats!" 'e says, and passes in his cheque. Quite natural Romeo gets wet as 'ell. "It's me or you," 'e howls, and with a yell plunks Tyball through the gizzard with his sword. 'Ow I encored. "Put in the boot," I says. "Put in the boot." "'Ush," says Doreen. "Shame," says some silly coot. Then Romeo, 'e dunno what to do. The cops gets busy, like they always do, and nose around until 'e gets blue funk, and does a bunk. They wants 'is tart to wed some other guy. "Oh, strike," she says, "I wish that I could die." "Now this 'ere gospel bloke's a fair shrewd head," says 'e. "I'll dope yer so they'll think yer dead." I tips 'e was a cunnin' sort wot knew a thing or two. She takes 'is knock-out drops up in 'er room. They thinks she's snuffed and plant 'er in 'er tomb. Then things gets mixed a treat and starts to whirl. 'Ere's Romeo come back and finds 'is girl tucked in 'er little coffin, cold and stiff. And in a jiff 'e swallows Lysol, throws a fancy fit, head over turkey, and 'is soul is flit. Then Juliet wakes up and sees 'im there, turns on the waterworks and tears 'er hair. "Dear love," she says, "I cannot live alone." And with a moan she grabs 'is pocket knife and ends 'er cares. "Peanuts or lollies?" says a boy upstairs.
End of Section 4. Section 5 of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis.
The Straw Hat Coot. Ah, wimmin! What a blinded fool I been! I asks meself, what else could I expect? I've done me block complete on this Doreen, an' now me 'eart is broke, me life's a wreck. The dreams I dreamed, the dilly thoughts I thunk, is up the pole, an' joy has done a bunk. Wimmin! Oh, strike! I orter know their game. Their tricks is crook, their arts is all dead snide. The 'ole world over tarts is all the same, all soft an' smilin' wiv no 'eart inside. But she fair doped me wiv 'er winnin' ways, then crooled me pitch fer all me mortal days. They're all the same. A bloke 'as got to be strict master if 'e wants to snare 'em sure. 'E 'as to take a stand an' let 'em see that triflin' is a thing 'e won't endure. 'E wants to show 'em that 'e 'olds command, so they will smooge an' feed out of 'is 'and. 'E needs to make 'em feel 'e's the boss, an' kids 'e's careless of the joys they give. 'E 'as to make 'em think 'e'll feel no loss to part wiv any tart 'e's trackin' wiv. That all their pretty ways is crook pretence is plain to any bloke wiv common sense. But when the birds is nestin' in the spring, an' when the soft green leaves is in the bud, 'E drops 'is bundle to some fluffy thing. 'E pays 'er homage, an' 'is name is Mud. She plays wiv 'im an' kids 'im on a treat, until she 'as 'im crawlin' at 'er feet. An' then, when 'e's fair off 'is top wiv love, an' she 'as got 'im good an' 'ad 'er fun, she slings 'im over like a cast-off glove to let the other tarts see wot she's done. Oh, vanity, deceit, an' 'eartless kid! I orter known, an' spare me days, I did! I knew, but when I looked into 'er eyes, them shinin' eyes o' blue all soft wiv love, wiv mimic love, they seemed to 'ipnotise. I was content to place 'er 'igh above. I was content to make of 'er a queen. An' so she seemed them days. Oh, 'struth, Doreen! I knew, but when I stroked 'er glossy 'air wiv reverent 'ands, 'er cheek pressed close to mine, me lonely life seemed robbed of all its care.
I dreamed me dreams, an' 'ope begun to shine. An' when she 'eld 'er lips fer me to kiss Oh, wot's the use? I'm done wiv all o' this. Wimmin! I ain't jealous. Spare me days! Me jealous of a knock-kneed coot like that! 'Im wiv 'is cute stror 'at an' pretty ways! I'd be a mug to squeal or whip the cat. I'm glad, I am, glad 'cos I know I'm free. There ain't no call to talk o' jealousy. I tells meself I'm well out o' the game. Fer look, I might 'a' married 'er, an' then Oh, strike! 'Er voice was music when me name Was on 'er lips of them glad evenin's when We used to meet. An' then to think she'd go. No, I ain't jealous, but, I dunno. I took a derry on this stror 'at coot First time I seen 'im dodgin' round Doreen. 'Im wiv 'is giddy tie an' Yankee suit, Ferever yappin' like a talk machine About the hoffice where 'e 'ad a grip. The way 'e smiled at 'er gave me the pip. She sez I stoushed 'im when I promised fair To chuck it, even to a friendly spar. Stoushed 'im! I never roughed 'is pretty 'air. I only spanked 'im gentle fer 'is mar. If I 'ad jabbed 'im once there would 'a been An inquest, an' I sez so to Doreen. I might 'a' took an' cracked 'im in the street When she was wiv 'im there last Friday night. But don't I keep me temper when we meet? An' don't I raise me lid an' act polite? I only jerks me elbow in 'is ribs To give the gentle office to 'is nibs. Stoushed 'im! I owns I met 'im on the quiet An' worded 'im about a small affair. An' when 'e won't put up 'is 'ands to fight, 'E sez fer public brawls 'e didn't care. I lays 'im 'cross me knee, the mother's joy, An' smacks 'im 'earty like a naughty boy. An' now Doreen she sez I've broke me vow, An' mags about this coot's pore wounded pride. An' then, o' course, we 'as a ding-dong row, Wiv 'ot an' stormy words on either side. She sez I done it out o' jealousy. An' so we parts ferever, 'er an' me. Me jealous! Jealous of that cross-eyed cow! I set 'im 'cos I couldn't sight 'is face. 'Is yappin' fair got on me nerves some'ow. I couldn't stand 'im 'angin' round 'er place. A coot like that! But it don't matter much. She's welkim to 'im, if she fancies such. I swear I'll never track wiv 'er no more. I'll never look on 'er side o' the street, Unless she comes an' begs me pardon for Them things she said to me in angry 'eat. She can't expect fer me to smooge an' crawl. I ain't at any woman's beck an' call. Wimmin! I've took a tumble to their game. I've got the whole bang tribe of cliners set. The 'ole world over they are all the same. Crook to the core, the bunch of 'em. An' yet we could 'a' been that 'appy, 'er an' me. But wot's it matter? Ain't I glad I'm free? A bloke wiv common sense 'as got to own There's little 'appiness in married life. The smoogin' game is better left alone. For tarts is few that makes the ideel wife. An' them's the sort that loves without disguise, An' thinks the sun shines in their 'usban's eyes. But when the birds is matin' in the Spring, An' when the tender leaves begin to bud, A feelin' comes, a dilly sorter thing, That seems to sorter swamp 'im like a flood. An' when the fever 'ere inside 'im burns, Then freedom ain't the thing fer wot 'e yearns. But I 'ave chucked it all, an' yet, I own, I dreams me dreams when soft spring breezes stirs. An' often, when I'm moonin' 'ere alone, A lispin' maid wiv 'air an' eyes like 'ers, 'Oo calls me dad, she climbs upon me knee, An' yaps 'er pretty baby talk to me. I sorter see a little 'ouse, it seems, With someone waitin' for me at the gate. Where's the sense in dreamin' balmy dreams? I've dreamed before and nearly woke too late. Such happiness could never last for long. We're strangers, 'less she owns that she was wrong. To call her back I'll never lift a hand. She'll never hear from me by word or sign. Perhaps some day she'll come to understand the mess she's made of this here life of mine. Oh, I ain't much to look at, I admit, but 'im, the knock-kneed, swivel-eyed misfit.
End of section 5. Section 6 of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis.
The Siren. She sung a song and I sat silent there, with both hands grippin' hard onto me chair. Me 'eart that yesterday I thought was broke, with 'umpin' such a heavy load of care, come swellin' in me throat like I would choke. I felt 'ot blushes climbin' to me hair. 'Twas like that feelin' when the spring wind breathes sad music in the softly rustlin' leaves, an' when a bloke sits down an' starts to chew crook thoughts without quite knowin' why 'e grieves for things 'e's done 'e didn't oughter do, fair winded wiv the 'eavy sighs 'e heaves. She sung a song, an' all at once I seen the kind of cruel an' 'eartless brute I'd been. In every word I read it like a book, the slanter game I've played wiv my Doreen. I 'eard it in 'er song an' in 'er look. I seen what made me feel fair rotten mean. Poor 'urt Doreen, me tender bit of fluff! Ah, men don't understand, they're far too rough. Their ways is far too coarse wiv lovin' tarts. They never gives 'em sympathy enough. They treats 'em 'arsh, they tramples on their 'earts, because their own cruel 'earts is leather tough. She sung a song, an' all them bitter things that chewin' over lovers' quarrels brings give place to thoughts of sorrer an' remorse, like when some dilly punter goes an' slings 'is last lone diner on some stiffened 'orse, an' learns them vain regrets wot 'urts an' stings. 'Twas at a beano where I lobs along to drown them memories of fancied wrong. I swear I never knew that she'd be there, but when I met 'er eye, oh, 'struth, 'twas strong. 'Twas bitter strong, that jolt of dull despair, 'er look o' scorn. An' then she sung a song. The tune was one o' them sad, mournful things that catch yeh in the bellows 'ere an' brings tears to yer eyes. The words was of a tart 'oo's trackin' wiv a silly coot 'oo slings 'er love aside an' breaks 'er tender 'eart. But 'twasn't that, it was the way she sings. To 'ear 'er voice a bloke 'ud be a log 'oo kept 'is block. Me mind was in a fog of sorrow fer to think 'ow I was wrong. Ah, I 'ave been a fair ungrateful 'og. The feelin' that she put into that song 'ud melt the 'eartstrings of a chiner dog. I listens wiv me 'eart up in me throat. I drunk in every word an' every note. Tears trembles in 'er voice when she tells 'ow that tart snuffed out because 'e never wrote. An' then I seen 'ow I was like that cow. With sudden shame me guilty soul was smote. Doreen, she never looked my way, but stood 'arf turned away an' beefed it out reel good, until she sang that bit about the grave. Too late 'e learned 'e 'ad misunderstood. An' then, Gawstruth, the pleadin' look she gave fair in me face 'ud melt a heart o' wood. I dunno 'ow I seen that evenin' thro'. They must 'a' thought I was 'arf shick, I knew. But I 'ad 'urt Doreen without no call. I seen me duty, wot I had to do. Oh, strike! I could 'a' blubbed before 'em all. But I sat tight an' never cracked a boo. An' when at last the tarts they make a rise A lop-eared coot with hair down to his eyes. He looks on to Doreen and starts to roam for 'ome and mother. I lines up and cries, "'Ands off! I'm seein' this 'ere cliner 'ome." And then we left 'im, gapin' with surprise. She never spoke, she never said no word, but walked beside me like she'd never 'eard. I swallers 'ard and starts to coax and plead. I says I'm dead ashamed of wot's occurred. She don't reply, she never takes no 'eed, just stares before 'er like a startled bird. I tells 'er never can no other tart be 'arf wot she is if we 'ave to part. I tells 'er that me life will be a wreck. It ain't no go, but when I makes a start to walk away, 'er arms is round me neck. "Oh, kid," she sobs, "you nearly broke me 'eart." I dunno wot I done or wot I said, but 'struth, I'll not forget it till I'm dead. That night when 'ope back in me brisket lobs, 'ow my Doreen, she lays 'er little 'ead down on me shoulder 'ere, an' sobs an' sobs, an' all the lights gets sorter blurred an' red. Say, square an' all, it don't seem right some'ow to say such things, but wot I'm feelin' now 'as come at times, I s'pose, to other men. When you 'ave 'ad a real ole ding-dong row, say, ain't it bonzer makin' up again? Straight wire, it's almost worth Ah, I'm a cow! To think I'd ever seek to 'arm a 'air of 'er dear 'ead again. My oath, I swear, no more I'll roust on 'er in angry 'eat. But still, she never seemed to me so fair. She never was so tender or so sweet as when we smooged beneath the lamplight there. She's never been so lovin' with 'er gaze, so gentle with 'er pretty women's ways. I tells 'er she's me queen, me angel too. "Oh, no, I ain't no angel, kid," she says. "I'm just a woman, an' I loves yeh true, an' so I'll love yeh all me mortal days." She sung a song, 'ere in me barmy style. I sets all tarts, fer in me hour o' trial me soul was withered be a woman's frown, an' broodin' care came roostin' on me dial. She sung a song, me 'eart wiv woe cast down was raised to 'eaven be a woman's smile.
End of section 6. End of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis.